What's good, ladies and gentlemen? With the most recent matches, I want to specifically talk about OpTic Texas and what they need to do to be the heavy favorites going into their home tournament. So, as you already heard in the intro, we're going to specifically talk about OpTic Texas, what their years look like so far, and their recent struggles, and what they can do to improve their team. Now, to start off their season overall, they were a 3-0 before the Christmas break. They played matches between Riyadh Falcons, Minnesota, and Heretics. They 3-0'd Falcons, 3-1 Minnesota, and 3-2 Heretics. And even throughout this break, their ARs were continuing to dominate. If we take a look at their stats individually, like Mercules, for instance, Mercules has been doing well for OpTic this entire year. He has the third highest KD in the game. I believe he has the highest overload KD in the game as well. Not the highest overload KD, but one of the highest overload stats in the game. He has the highest S&D KD. He's pretty good in hardpoint as well. And you just look at these stats; it's insane. He's playing pretty serviceable for his team, beyond serviceable. He's bailing them out in most series. And when you just look Mercules on the map, he can literally do no wrong. And everyone knows Mercules is literally an industry plant. He's been called an industry plant by many different coaches and players that are in the league right now. We've been taking a look at the leaderboards. He's definitely on the cusp of even top 5 of the just KD leader overall. Has a Slayer rating of 97, around 97, meaning that in the 5-map series, he's averaging probably 97 kills. 34% of his kills are non-traded, so basically, like, barely anyone's trading this guy, which is really impressive. We take a look mainly at his even hardpoint stats, in terms of just KD, his highest KD against Slayer rating there. Pretty good. Overall, he's been a really serviceable player for OpTic, and I'm gonna also give love to Dashy. Dashy's still doing what he needs to do best. Serviceable stats overall, being the main AR of the team, switching to that objective role as of an NW3, and just really not really much to talk about when it comes to Dashy. Dashy's been just doing his thing. Like, if we take a look at Dashy's stats, he's 15th overall, I believe, in ranked KD. His hardpoint stats aren't bad. If we take a look at his stats, he has a 1.04 KD. He has 24 kills for 10. Damage for 10 is around, I believe, like 23 minutes. I want to see if I call it correctly. Kill time, getting him out most of the hill time for OpTic, and he has a decent engagement rate, which I love the most. He's just that main OBJ player. Overall, the airs on the OpTic Texas overall been doing what they need to do. However, the main issue, and we've noticed it since the break, is their subs. Now, since their break, they are 1-2 with an overall 4-9 map count. 4-7 map count, I should say. They lost 3-0 to Vegas FaZe. They won 3-1 to Surge, and finally they lost 1-3 to Thieves recently, their last match. And now most criticism is going to be placed on the subs. Starting with Hook. Hook, I think's been okay-ish. I feel like, yeah, he hasn't been playing to his overall standard. Like, even even looking at his KD, he's more of the more objective based sub out of the two. You can see kind of plays more little OBJ, kind of doesn't. But so far Hook hasn't really been that great in this game. But I'll give him a pass only because of the fact that when you've watched him play even last year, at the end of last year, he wasn't really slaying as much as he used to. Like, everyone knows him be a dirty kill whore, but he definitely stepped up his game and be a more IGL fit player, and he just needed to do what he needs to do for the win. And he's the stats may not always show it, but if you look at his arrow, look at his comms, he's giving a lot to the team, and he's pretty serviceable when he needs to. And I think that Kyler doesn't need to drop insane numbers in the game to just be an impact on the map, if we're really specific. If we take a look at Hook's stats, if I could find him, where are you, Mr. Kyler Garden? Here you go, Hook. Oh, well, that wasn't needed. Hook is as you can see, he has 12 plants. I believe he has the highest plant rate out of his entire team, if I recall correctly. I believe he's one of the main OBJ players in the game in that case. And just doing what he needs to do for OpTic. So I can give him a pass. I definitely think that in order for them to succeed, he needs to fry as well. But I think Hook against been serviceable. My main criticism with this team with the subs is specifically Shotzi. and I'm going to get into why as well as overall a team issue. Shotzi has not been great this year, barring Overload. His S&D is serviceable. His Overload's pretty godlike in the beginning. I guess people are trying to understand the game more, so it's kind of falling off. But the main stat that people are looking at, which I can kind of understand, is hardpoint KD. He has the 49th highest KD in hardpoint in the league. Now, for context, there's a 48. This is a 48 team player league, so being the number 49th, and it's not great. And it will also mean that since two people have left the scene, Slasher and Legend and Challenger, Slasher being retired, Slasher has a higher KD than him. And even before the break, before Slasher retired, Slasher had a higher KD than him because Shotzi was still at the 49th KD. So he's literally just hasn't been great in hardpoint. If we take a look at his stats, if I can pull up Shotzi. Come on, Mr. Anthony Cuevas. Again, like his overall KD is a 0.94, which is serviceable for an SMG, but he's just not being great in HP specifically. And most of the series that they're winning, like besides like barring the first one, he hasn't really been popping off, and it's not really even great in the damage category. I feel like he needs to like do more. His hardpoint time is still kind of serviceable. I think their main issue right now, because Shotzi's struggling so much in hardpoint, it's making the ARs overcompensate, leaving them like vulnerable as well. And I think this is why the team is struggling. Now, it's not too bad for Shotzi to struggle, but it also bars the question as to why they're not playing maps that are catering to Shotzi and Hoop. I feel like they're trying to be an impactful sub, but the maps don't cater to it. Like they're not really playing Colossus. You can see at their map records, they are not playing Colossus, and I don't think they've played a single Blackheart. Like they're usually vetoing Blackheart. You can see they vetoed it 3 times, and it's kind of weird that they haven't really played on Colossus nor Blackheart for hardpoint, because those maps are bang out maps. They're catered to SMG play, and I believe almost damn near every other team in the league has played Blackheart or Colossus at least once. So the fact that they're not playing it, and Shotzi is also not using an AR as well as Hook has picked up an AR more often than not. Shotzi's been like 100% sub, which I think is good to an extent, but in cases like where Hook isn't running the AR, because there's times where Hook doesn't run the AR as well, their subs are getting torpedoed repeatedly. I feel like their map set is kind of lacking going into their home tournament, because since there is no Colossus and there is no what's the word I'm looking for, Blackheart, it requires one of the subs to run a full-time AR, and I think that's what they need to do going forward. If they're not going to play Colossus or Blackheart, I think they should have at least a rep or 2 on it, since they have Nourishment going into the home major. And going into their match, which at the time of recording, their match should be at 3. This should be uploaded at 2. Kid, if you need to make sure this is uploaded at 2. But I think they need to play at least 1 or 2. One of them, or both. They need to play it so they can just get a rep on it. Because having no reps on this is not going to help their team overall. And Shotzi's playstyle is going to be put in a question again, because at the end of the day, it's like his playstyle, he's taking routes, he's going to take pinches. But it's kind of hard on maps especially like Scar, where they have a 1-3 record on. They played it 4 times and they lost 3 out the 4 that they played. And Shotzi's getting pinches every, he's getting chowed every map, and that's all he's doing. So I feel like he needs to slow his game down. If you put an AR on his hand, like we saw with a BZ, when a BZ had an AR, he was frying with it, and it slowed him down. I don't think both subs need to run the AR. I think one is suffice. I think Shotzi needs to run it. I think he needs to want to slow down this game more. I don't think Hook is playing so fast to the point where he needs to slow down. But I feel like if Shotzi does not pick it up soon, this OpTic team is going to struggle. We saw him struggle against the top teams like FaZe and even Thieves when Kenny knows how to shoot back. And again, I already know what people are going to say. Oh, Shotzi usually starts off bad in the year. I completely agree. Shotzi is not a great person at the beginning of the year, barring last year where he was pretty decent at the game, if not damn near godlike. I think people were calling him top 5 player in the game, major 1, before they went top 8 in Madrid. So I think this team is this. I really think you just need your subs to slow down a little bit, play more methodical, have one and run an AR, a full-time AR like a BZ. Like, don't pull out an NPC on Scar like Shotzi did against Faith to try to prove a point, which I think didn't really need to be necessary. I think their map pool is pretty, at least for respawn, it's pretty okay. Again, I still think they need to run Colossus or Blackout at least once, and I'm praying that when they play today, that I don't know their map set, I pray that they're playing at least one of the two, just so they have reps on it, and to see how it feels with an SMG player runs on an SMG map like Blackout or Colossus. So we've seen like Kremp fries on Colossus, Kremp losses. And if you're not gonna play it, then have Shotzi run the full AR role, because I feel like Abizi and Shotzi are kind of a similar player. They're more the aggressive sub players. They're like their entry fragger essentially, and I just think that if they do that, I think this team will be fine. I don't think they're bad to the point like it is concerning like how last year they were 0-18. I don't think it's anywhere near that, but I definitely think that the ARs can't keep pulling like the way that they're pulling, and like their subs are not doing what they needed. So that's just my personal take on the entire thing. Other than that, I think this team can do damage at their home major, and we're gonna see as I do my predictions the week. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the final week of Major 1 qualifier matches, and I'm not gonna lie, this Friday match is looking kind of spicy. I'm not gonna lie. So to start off, we have OpTic Texas taking down the Carolina Royal Ravens, and I'm not gonna lie, if you were to tell me this before the year started that Ravens would make waves in the scene, I would be surprised. But since they dropped Slash retired, they've been doing their thing. They are 3-0, I believe, if I recall correctly. And they played Ravens played two interesting matches. First one being OpTic, and I mean, I'm going to support my boys. I'm definitely going to go with OpTic for the win. But I think Carolina does get a map. I won't lie. So, I mean, I think this is also going to go game 5, and then I'm still going to take OpTic. But when their respawn isn't that great, their search and their overall is pretty good. I think, well, the overall is kind of shaky now. They're losing it a lot. I think they're like 1-4 now, if I recall correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head. They're like 1-4. Yeah, they're 1-4. I feel like this OpTic is going to bounce back with this series, though. And I'm confident that OpTic will take this 3-1. Second series and the final series for the Friday will be Paris Gentlemen versus Koi. Now, I think Koi and Gentlemen are coming off some pretty interesting losses. Koi losing to Ravens and Gentlemen's losing to Falcons. And if I had to really call this one, I'm still confident that Gentlemen's could beat Toronto in a game 5. And I'm gonna just leave it like that. Going into the Saturday matches, I feel like Koi's gonna bounce back if my predictions are correct. If my predictions are right, I think Koi will bounce back massively against G2. I think G2 will get a map. I don't think this goes game 5 though. And I'm gonna put double points on that. Let's boost the match. Why not? Let's throw it in. Let's throw it in the ring. You feel me? Cloud9 versus Falcons. I mean, I could, bro. This is a 3-0. This is a 3-0. I wish I didn't use that, but like, can I get rid of it? I'm just yeah, why not? I'll leave it there. Thieves versus Breach. Now, I'm kind of conflicted on this because I feel like Kenny is like, we've seen that Kenny can actually shoot back, and he's godlike, and the team is godlike. But like, I don't know if that's because he's just an OpTic Reaper specifically, or he actually is back. So that one-off, I feel like that might have been a one-off series, but I'm confident that they will still win 3-1. I don't think Breach will have any any chance against them online. For some reason, though, on land they are much better. Like I believe last year's head-to-head when they've played them on land, I believe it's a 2-1 in favor of Boston. If I recall correctly, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Boston is 2-1 last year in land head-to-head. I could be incorrect about that statement. I don't know what the actual predictions show. Most people had Thieves, which kind of makes sense, but let's look at it. This was at Champs. This is at Major 4, I believe. Is this Major 4? I believe this is Major 4. This is Major to LAN, and this is online. And I believe this was online as well, if I recall correct. So basically in the last 5 matches, Thieves are what? 2 and 3 against them. So I'm gonna still go with Thieves online anyway. But we'll just leave it like that. Now, Sunday actually has some pretty banging matches. Paris versus Miami. I'm gonna go with another game 5 for Gentlemen, because I think Gentlemen is overall the stronger roster, but I wouldn't count out Heretics just yet. I think Heretics is a really good roster. I think Drake has been improving with every series, and I definitely think they could do some damage in the series, if not win. But I'm still gonna go with Gentlemen. I think Ghost is gonna have a masterclass of a series. Now, Bees versus Ravens, again, another interesting match. If you were to tell me like this would be an interesting match, I'd be like, you're crazy. But I don't know. Part of me wants to go with Ravens here. I think they'll bounce back, but I don't know. I think my gut, I'm gonna go with the Thieves 3-2. I feel like this can go game 5. And again, I'm gonna put the double points on it. Why not? Let's boost the match. And then finally with FaZe versus Surge, let's look at the predictions. And yeah, no. Yeah, no. 3-0. And we're gonna lock in these predictions. Again, at the time this being uploaded, it should be at least an hour before the first match on Friday starts. So hopefully my predictions go through. I'm praying. But again, let me know in the comments below if you see this video. How do you feel about these predictions? How do you feel about OpTic Texas going into their final week of calls and going into the major? Let me know if there's anything you think they would need to tune up. If there's any opinions you have in the comments below, let me know. And I'll see you guys later for another video. Take it easy.